This is what the great sports do. You play to win the game.
Coming at you live in the heart of Lincoln, America.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
On air and online at theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
We are back here for another week of the Ticket Water Cooler. One final week of college football season for us here in Lincoln. Of course, Nebraska not going to be bowl eligible. We knew that coming into the week. 15-14 loss to Wisconsin. Didn't help. But I'm still excited. It is Iowa week, better known as Iowa Hate Week, so we can kind of get that ramped up again. So we can get excited, talk trash, take another lead to the fourth quarter, and get our hearts ripped out once again. It's crazy. This Iowa-Nebraska game is going to play out exactly how you expect it will, and we all expect it to play out the same. Like, there's just Iowa has a certain way they win, Nebraska has a certain way they lose,
and they match up very well.
And it's going to just perfectly blend for exactly what you expect on Friday.
You know what? You're right, and I hate that you're right, because Nebraska, as has been said many times on these airwaves, the Big Ten West model for beating Nebraska is to just sit back, keep doing what you do, and wait, because at some point Nebraska will give you a chance to win the game. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. That's just how it's been ever since Nebraska joined the Big Ten. Is you just sit back and you wait, because Nebraska will give you a chance to win the game, and especially with Iowa, who really just sits back and waits the entire time. They don't do much on the offensive end, except for the last couple of weeks. They've been averaging, somewhere in the 250 yards per game, which isn't great at all.
That's not good.
But for Iowa, that's good. And compared to Nebraska, who's averaging around like 190 or something, that's a high-powered offense.
Yeah.
So, the way that Iowa plays football and the way Nebraska loses football match up extremely well, and unfortunately it's looking like it might be another one of those instances where Nebraska might come up on the short end of the stick despite looking good through the first three quarters of the game. Especially, they put out their depth chart today, and Marquise Buford, as probably was expected by many people, not listed on the depth chart. Isaac Gifford going from the starting nickel to the starting safety spot, and Javen Wright taking over that starting nickel spot. Well, or Omar Brown, who was a corner coming out of Northern Iowa, then moved to safety, and then moved to nickel about halfway through this season.
And another or that I noticed on the depth chart, I don't know how, I haven't looked too closely over the last couple of weeks, but Ernest Hausman or Chris Kolarovich.
That's been an or.
Okay.
That's been an or.
If Kolarovich starts, we riot. Not really. Because it is.
But yes,
it's his last game, so I suppose maybe they'll just give him. But I mean, if he plays the majority of the snaps, Ernest Hausman is a great shining example of what Nebraska.
13 tackles.
Against
Wisconsin.
I think it was 12, but somewhere around there. Either way,
his previous high was 10.
Come on, yeah. And it's not like he's just kind of gang tackling and he's out there. Like he's man, his future looks bright.
He is firing to the ball. His closing speed is something that many Nebraska fans can get excited about. And I know, people are going to be, as soon as I say this, people are going to disagree. You get a little bit more muscle on him. You get him a little bit bigger and he's good to go in the Big Ten. People are going to say, you don't want to put muscle on him because it's going to slow him down. Muscle doesn't slow you down. It's the way that you work out that slows you down. If he works out a certain way and only puts the muscle on and doesn't continue to work on his speed and get the muscle to help his legs continue to move fast and keep those fast twitch muscles, then he'll slow down. But just because he puts on a little bit of weight, I'm not saying to bulk him up to 300 pounds, put on a little bit more weight, he can still keep his speed. He'll still be good.
Yeah. And a lot of it too, at the linebacker position is the mental side of it. And for, the early on in this season, it was just kind of like he was another guy out there. Once it clicked, he looks like a difference maker.
He looks different.
Yeah, he looks different, and he looks like a difference maker. So
he looks like the kind of linebacker that Michigan wanted.
Yeah, that's a bright spot for Nebraska moving forward. Not many of those in there. I'm still excited for Nebraska, Iowa. We can go over this Wisconsin game. Do you have it in you? I know even Carricker kind of said he's just kind of ready for this chapter to be over. But I still have enough, and I think a lot of it helps that Iowa has something to play for. Nebraska, despite all this stuff that's gone on and been poor, and I know you don't want to buy into another week of, hey, it could happen this week.
Play spoiler.
But it can again. You could
have you looked at the weather?
Spoil your rival.
Have you looked at the weather?
I've not looked at the weather.
It's supposed to be a pretty nice day. in the low 40s.
That's good for Nebraska.
No wind. So that lines up well for a Nebraska offense. And by Nebraska offense, I mean throwing the ball everywhere.
Yeah. It's Casey Thompson coming back. I think that helped out Nebraska's offense clearly. He's still not 100%, but
were you surprised by how he played? And by how he played, I mean not sliding at all and going into every single hit.
I don't know, and I wonder if that was strategic too, because not that, but letting kind of, it depends sometimes. I'd have to go
freeing
back
up his legs.
Well, just not on Wisconsin's part, not expecting him to run, so maybe not keeping a spy on him or anything like that. Just kind of because he did lead Nebraska in scrambles. Now Michigan might have showed that you could do that and not get hurt too much by Nebraska. That's what they did, and they let Chubba Purdy get rushing yardage. So. I don't know if that was by design, but I was very much surprised that he was sliding less, like running into the tackles.
That one where he just lowered his shoulder into the linebacker and just, laid him out to get the first down. I was like, okay, I appreciate, Mickey said it the week before when Alante Brown tried to jump over a guy. You appreciate a guy doing everything it takes to win, and that shows the determination, the grit, the want to for these guys. But at the same time, you are just coming back from an injury, and we all saw how the offense looks when you're not in the game. I'm not going to take anything away from him because, that is, his want to win the game. But I would rather you take the slide and maybe end up like a yard short since they started from where you slide, as opposed to lowering your shoulder into a linebacker and trying to get the first down fresh off of an injury.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Eric says Thompson must have helped the offense a ton. They had 14 points and 170 yards. That's their point total high since Thompson's been gone. Actually, so
it is.
It did.
He did help. They had 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah,
you haven't seen any of those lately.
Oh my goodness, they would have not scored. And I know it sounds funny to say they would not have scored 14 without Thompson.
No. There was no running game. Still, you weren't. The quarterback run. Was working because I don't think they were expecting him to run. If you had a more mobile quarterback in there, I'm sure they would have had it. If Logan Smothers was in there, I'm sure they would have kept the spy, because not to take anything away from Casey Thompson, but Logan Smothers can actually hurt you with his legs
and can't hurt you as much with his arms.
Yeah, so although he is maybe hurt still. Yeah. I'm not sure. He was hurt before. I don't know if he's still hurt.
Yeah, and it's
a weird situation this year with the quarterbacks because all your top 3 quarterbacks are hurt. Your top 3 quarterbacks have been hurt for the last couple of weeks, apparently. Obviously, Casey's injury. Chubba's been dealing with this and that, and then got the high ankle sprain. And then Logan Smothers apparently had been injured for the past couple of weeks as well. I don't know what's going on with that quarterback room. I don't think they're getting hit in practice, right? I mean, they're wearing green jerseys. They're not taking hits in practice. I don't know where these injuries are coming from, unless they're non-contact, unless they're just being sore from working out, from lifting, from passing so much in practice. Like, I don't know where they're experiencing these injuries that are hindering their performances so much.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from either. Obviously, Casey, we've seen where that's coming from, but some of these other ones that they're getting hurt going into there. It is interesting too, because Casey, of course, decided to walk this week. So they're kind of this big discussion about whether he comes back. Seems to be, maybe if Mickey comes around, he would come back.
He did say if he comes back, he's walking again. Yeah. And people forget Colton Feast walked last year.
Did he really?
Yeah, and he won. They had the football banquet awards. He won Defensive Lineman of the Year for the Huskers. So
good for him.
There's that.
And he is getting better as the season goes on.
He is getting a lot better as the season goes on. That's your walk on black shirt right there.
Yeah. I wonder though too with Casey. It's going to depend a lot, I think, on who they bring in. Obviously, the philosophy that guy has. Mm-hmm. Casey's has his graduate degree now. So
he to go for his master's.
Yeah.
What is he mentioned it, or somebody mentioned it, where he has his bachelor's from Texas, his graduate degree, whatever it is, from Nebraska. Just has to one more year, I guess, one more semester, 2 more semesters of Nebraska education, whatever that may be.
I mean, but I will say this too. Obviously, if he leaves, you're looking for a start in the portal. And it'll be the second year that you're in that position. But
I don't know, man. William Watson's coming in. He's playing. I saw this. He is playing in the Army All-American game, or the Under Armour the Under Armour All-American. And he's the first to play in that one for Nebraska since I don't remember the name.
He's a Whipple guy though,
He is.
which means he's probably not sticking around because Whipple sure as heck isn't sticking around.
They did offer that kid out of Texas, right? That quarterback out of
Yeah,
Texas.
they didn't make another quarterback offer. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, like you said, kind of the big news today, Marquise Buford not on the depth chart. Not a surprise there, but Gifford moving over there to safety. A few more things we got to get to.
I also made a realization, and I
ahead.
don't know if anybody. I want to get your take on this.
Okay.
Because I know I'm going to get some pushback on it. As probably from the text line. Again, you guys can text and call in 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line, or join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter on the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream. You can join us there and see our beautiful faces. See my awesome Bert Kreischer shirt.
Nice.
But so I made this realization when I looked at the depth chart today. Outside of your center, your right guard, your starting tight end, and whatever position Caleb Tanner is, SLB. I don't know, strong side linebacker.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
So.
Whatever position Caleb Tanner is, every starter for this Husker football team can, capital can, not will, can, has the opportunity to come back. And I understand that people are going to say, well, they suck, and why would we want them back, and you need to upgrade, blah, blah, blah. I understand there's going to be roster turnover. Some of these guys are going to leave in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys are going to decide, Alshon Mathis, Casey Thompson can leave to go to the NFL or enter the name into the NFL draft process. So multiple guys can leave in situations. There's going to be some people that enter the transfer portal. There's going to be some people they bring in from the transfer portal. But what have we said in the Big Ten and in just about every sport? To win in the Big Ten, you got to get old, you got to stay old, and experience is key in doing that. Nebraska can return all but 4 starters from this team. And I understand that people are going to say that they suck and you need different people, but when you have guys that have played in the Big Ten and understand what it takes to travel in the Big Ten, because that's something big, is how do you travel? How do you get ready when you're on the road? What is it going to take to play these teams? You know more about the teams that you're going to play, especially in the Big Ten West, because you've played them 4 years or 3 years, however many years that you've been here. So experience is a great teacher for this Nebraska football team. So, I mean, that's just something that I saw and looked at and thought was really interesting, because if you do, and I doubt you will, have every single starter return, I mean, that's just another year within the program, outside of, the fact that they're probably going to have a new head coach. And I mean, that can only help, right?
I mean, I think that, that can help. And it's, I think that there's, at least, even if you don't like some of those guys as starters, maybe that'll help with the depth factor. Also, it's kind of interesting as we talk about this, throw it to break and kind of think about this, and we'll talk about it when we get back. How much of a rebuild do you think that Nebraska needs? Like you said, a lot of the roster is coming back. The other thing is they've lost 4 Big Ten West games by a single possession once again. And
you will get your left guard back, though.
Yeah.
Norton Nuili.
Hopefully, yeah. You would think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's positives to look to out of a 3-9 season, but it's that second 3-9 season.
Yeah.
So all right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back here on the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket.
Get an immediate look back at the game from the people who know it best. It's the Tanner's post-game show and the final word live from Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Hear from former players and national champions like Jay Foreman, Rashawn Jackson, and Aaron Davis, and see what they saw in that Tanner's post-game final word. In person, home or away at Tanner's Bar and Grill, brought to you by Bauer Infrastructure. Only here on 93.7 The Ticket and The Ticket FM.
At Venue Catering and Events, we offer 2 of the most historic ballrooms in Lincoln. The Jasmine Room, located in the historic Grand Manse in the heart of downtown, featuring a beautiful built-in antique bar, spacious patio, and soaring skylit ceilings. The Scottish Rite Ballroom, located just 2 blocks from the state's capital, boasts intricate hand-carved columns, rich dark wood floors, and lavish chandeliers. The perfect venues to host your wedding, corporate event, or much more. For availability and more information, call us at 402-603-6483.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's also happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you could earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
Fall has arrived, and it's the perfect weather for the DIY market to listen to the game while building a deck. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance to make your project go smooth. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671 or go online at deckcityne.com. Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 9th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years and can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Yo, it's the captain, Rashawn Jackson. Join me this Wednesday at Wingstop at 50th and O Street for Husker Sports Talk and, most importantly, wings. That's Wednesday at Wingstop at 50th and O Street, the official sponsor of the captain. Order wings ahead at wingstop.com. See you there.
It's Championship Monday, and it's time to crown the Class A state title winner tonight at 7:15 p.m. Hey, guys, it's Nick Sainer. Join me tonight from Memorial Stadium for the Class A state championship game between the 11-1 Omaha Westside Warriors and the 12-0 Gretna Dragons. Tonight's game will feature two high-powered offenses as Westside comes in averaging around 42 points per game, while Gretna averages 39 points per game. Oklahoma State quarterback commit Zane Flores continues his impressive season for the Dragons, completing 67% of his passes and throwing 28 touchdowns on the season. For the Warriors, they're led by dual threat quarterback Anthony Rizak, who has over 1,800 yards through the air and over 1,000 rushing yards on the ground for a total of 35 touchdowns in the 2022 season. These two teams met last year in the 2021 state title game that ended in a 7-3 Gretna victory, but then the Dragons were forced to vacate the 2021 title due to an ineligible player on their roster. Can Westside get revenge this time around? Find out as the kickoff is scheduled for 7:15 p.m. with the pregame show starting at 7 p.m. from Memorial Stadium. And you can hear all the action unfold in the Class A state championship game right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The Heartland Diamond from Sartor Heyman Jewelers was born from an unrelenting desire for more sparkle. Designed to shine as bright as your love, the difference between the Heartland and the traditional cut is clearly visible with the naked eye. By adding 32 additional facets, our skilled craftsmen have created a masterpiece, a diamond that truly reflects your passion and desire. Stop in and see the brilliance of the Heartland Diamond for yourself, exclusively at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler, brought to you by Wingstop on 3.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So Wisconsin beat Nebraska this weekend, but
Wow,
Melvin Gordon just got
rub it in.
released. So
Dude,
who's the real winner?
He can't hold on to the ball.
He can't. He
Oh
has,
yeah, so Melvin Gordon gets released, so that's a loss for Wisconsin.
yeah.
Wisconsin beats Nebraska on the college football field, so that's a win for Wisconsin. So we're sitting. Wisconsin's 1-1. Nebraska's 0-1, right?
Yeah.
Brett Maher makes 2 60-yard field goals against the Vikings for the Dallas Cowboys, so that's one win for Nebraska there. Both teams are 1-1.
Yeah.
The deciding factor, Friday, volleyball.
Oh, here it comes.
Wisconsin visits Nebraska.
I saw the tickets
for a
to get
chance-
in there are pretty expensive.
They're
now.
disgustingly expensive.
Yeah.
Standing room only is like over $200. But so the way that things are shaking out right now, if Nebraska wants a share of the Big Ten title, they have to beat Wisconsin, and then the following day they have to beat Minnesota. Both are home games. So you'll be using the Bob Devaney crowd as, a seventh person on the court. So it'll be really interesting, especially with how Wisconsin and Nebraska have not been going back and forth the last few years. It's been mostly Wisconsin.
Downside of that.
But Ohio State kind of did their part in not being included in the Big Ten championship race by losing to Maryland and then losing to Indiana this weekend. So they have the other 2 losses in the Big Ten. I'm pretty sure as long as Wisconsin and Nebraska don't just lose their last 2, Ohio State's pretty much out of any share for the Big Ten title. But if Nebraska wins their last 2 and Wisconsin loses their last 2, Nebraska will win the Big Ten title outright.
Okay.
If Nebraska wins their last 2 and Wisconsin wins their final game against Ohio State, then they will share the Big Ten title. I know there's a lot going on. Wisconsin plays at Nebraska, then at Ohio State, Black Friday, and then the following day. Nebraska hosts Wisconsin and then hosts Minnesota Black Friday, and then the following.
Is Minnesota pretty good?
Minnesota is really good. Yes, it's going to be really interesting to see how Nebraska comes out after the Wisconsin game, win or loss, because they're going to pour a lot of energy into that one.
Wow. So a lot, it sounds maybe like it would be difficult for them to get but good.
It's gonna be hard, but they're in charge of their own. They're in control of their own destiny. They just have to take care of business, and they'll see themselves as possibly a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament and hosting the first and second rounds with a trip to Omaha on the line. But they took care of business this weekend, handling Iowa at Iowa, swept them, and then welcoming in 19th ranked Purdue on Sunday, a little Sunday matinee, and sweeping them. Was not expecting a sweep, especially after the first set. Purdue got up by as much as 5, maybe 6. Nebraska storms back and wins the first set 25-22. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. It was a close one, though, and nobody for Nebraska was over 5 kills in that one. A lot of unforced errors from both teams. And then second set, Maddie Kubik takes over, almost doubles her kill total. She had 5 in the first, 8 in the second, ended up with, I believe, 15 kills on the night. And shout out to Nicklin Hames, who passed 5,000 career assists as a Nebraska Husker.
Oh, yeah.
She's at 5,012 currently. She already got the record earlier this season for most in a career at Nebraska. Now she's just kind of putting it in an unreachable spot.
Well, that's cool. And an update around Nebraska basketball, too. They got the win against Arkansas Pine Bluff 82-58. More importantly, Juwan Gary led the way with 17 points, meaning through the first 4 games, Nebraska's had a different leading scorer every game.
Hooray! It's like what we said.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to be the one. And Blaze Keita got a double-double.
Yeah. Blaze Keita was... I did go to the game. It was a fun experience. Blaze Keita was way bigger than anybody else in the court.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
So that's part of it.
Good. Well, he did what he had to do.
That's
He's
what
big
you
enough,
like to
buddy.
see.
He did what he had to do.
That's what I love about non-con basketball when Nebraska gets a big man. I always did that with Jordy Schmunga. If you're like, if you're way bigger than everybody else, this is the time to get your double doubles. As the Big Ten play comes around, we understand you're gonna have some growing pains, but when you're the biggest guy on the court by far, you just got to dominate.
You should do it.
And he did.
Well, they had 5 people in double figures.
Yeah, it was a fun game. Now Arkansas Pine Bluff not a great record as far as what they had coming in, and did have the lead in the second half. So hold your breath a little bit for the ugly loss that Nebraska might potentially have. They don't have too many of those opportunities left because they have a pretty tough non-con. Oklahoma coming up next year on Thanksgiving on ESPN. So that will be kind of cool there.
That's part of the Maui Invitational, right? Or is that just a non-con game?
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I don't think it's in Maui.
Or not Maui. Not Maui.
Yeah.
Florida. Whatever it's called. Sorry, they played the Maui Invitational in Florida like the last 2 years or something.
Did they?
Because they still called it the Maui Invitational though, because they couldn't. It was COVID and they couldn't go over to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's quite confusing.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I messed that one up. But yeah, that's part of that Florida tournament?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll get the win. That's a nice little feel good too. Nebraska, Oklahoma playing on Thanksgiving. Back to the football rivalry. Once again, let's talk a little bit of football here. I wanted to get your take on two of the biggest, I guess things that people were disagreeing on in the post game show. One, as you might have heard by now, Nebraska selected not to have the wind in the fourth quarter, or so they wanted to go against the wind against Wisconsin there in the third quarter, and not so they didn't have the ball and the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a terrible decision. Everything's kind of hindsight because they did, they're up 14-3 entering the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything kind of broke down there, and I don't know. I can understand it kind of both. Reasoning from both sides, but typically you kind of think fourth quarter winning time wanted to take the advantage there.
I mean, they probably no. This is I don't know, but they maybe thought that they would have had it already wrapped up by that time, which weird for a team that only has 3 wins on the season. But like you just said, I mean, they were up 14-3. It would take a pretty epic collapse, and it kind of did take a pretty epic collapse for you to lose that game in the fashion that you lost it. So. I mean, I don't understand. In hindsight, you don't understand the decision because you would want the wind if you are going in for a game-winning field goal. But at the same time, with the way that you were up, despite having a very bad offensive performance, you didn't need the wind. You were doing just fine.
I don't know how much that affected it. Obviously, the wind was very effective as far as knocking down that Wisconsin field goal early in the game.
Yeah,
so it was a factor. But I don't know if it changed the game too much. The other one that I think was interesting is there are certain people, some people that didn't like the fact that Mickey wasn't willing to go for it on 4th and 1 kind of early in the game twice near midfield. I thought, and if you heard on the broadcast, RG3, they kind of teased the commercial break like, yeah, they're going.
He's going to go. Well, what if you were were you watching on TV or were you at the game?
Yeah, I was watching on TV.
So you saw Mickey. As they were going to break, he was looking at somebody. If you read his lips, he was saying, let's go for it. Let's go for it. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, they decided to punt. And I was like,
yeah,
what? Who changed their mind?
Well, I personally, again, I don't think that that's a deciding factor in the game. You could argue that if you're, where you're at as Nebraska as a program, that you don't have anything to lose, throw it all out there, see if you can get a win. With how close this game was, you could argue maybe you needed to do that to try to get a few extra points there.
But they were up 14-3 without going for it.
That's my point is we preach, and Mickey has been very accepting of understanding how the Big Ten West is fought and won. And he'll say it post game. That's Big Ten West personified.
That's a field position battle.
Field position, yeah, against a defense, ultimately you did, it worked in your favor. So I don't have a problem with it. I do understand because I think that's that attitude, that kind of throw every caution to the wind. We're kind of throwing it out there. I think that belongs in the Michigan game. I thought in 4th and 1 early in that game, they should have went for it because you need a couple breaks. You can play your tail off, play your best ball game of the year and lose that game.
Yeah,
by 14 points.
This is a team that Michigan team is a team that you need to take chances against.
Especially
this Wisconsin team,
Casey.
This Wisconsin team, you didn't need to take any chances.
So I thought that was
anything early in the game aside from the deciding not to take the win. It doesn't matter. You were up 14-3. Going forward on 4th and 1, those other 2 times, maybe it would have gotten you another touchdown. Maybe it would have gotten you a field goal. I don't know, but you were up 14-3. You should not have lost this game the way that Wisconsin's offense was going. But you did.
Yeah.
So going for it on 4th and 1 early in the first quarter, in the second quarter, it's not going to change the outcome. Not going to change anything.
Yeah, I think so too. So I mean, it's always interesting to break through and break down some of those controversies coming out of that game. But ultimately, if you're Nebraska, Got to get the stop. You got to score more points. I mean, this is a historically bad offense at this point. And it's kind of sad now that the season's over. I mean, Nebraska could score 70 against Iowa. It doesn't change what the story is. And the story is this experiment failed massively. And I'm not breaking any news there, but now that you just kind of look at it historically, I heard some of the guys from Husker Online kind of talking. Is Mark Whipple kind of on the same path or going to be remembered similarly to Bob Diaco? It's just a hire that just
a 1-year hire that just
work.
didn't nothing. No, I think he'll be. See, that's hard because it's what have you done for me lately? And the last few games have been terrible. But if you remember earlier in the season, the offense looked good. Yeah. It was a fun offense to watch. They were scoring.
Awful.
Yeah, they were scoring left and right. They're putting up 40 points, and it was great, and it was awesome. And then you get rid of your defensive coordinator and your head coach, and you're like, okay, well, the offense is still pretty much the same. You should be good. Maybe your defense will improve. And your defense didn't improve. Your offense went the other way for whatever reason. And I don't know if he'll be remembered as badly as Bob Diaco is, but he will not be remembered fondly.
No. And for what it's worth now, I think they're up to, I thought it was like 6 out of the 8 games that they've coached not getting to 14 points or getting to 14 or lower. Yeah, because it's Oklahoma, Rutgers, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and likely Iowa will add to that probably. But who knows? Maybe we'll see.
Maybe they put up 30.
Yeah.
Who knows? One last hurrah
Yeah.
for Mark Whipple because he will not be here next year.
Yeah, I think that's safe to assume, but we'll have one less ride for all the guys trying to get a win against Iowa. It's Iowa Hate Week. It will be fun kind of leading up to that game. It's a tradition. I love it. So I know there's not much on the line for Nebraska, but they can knock Iowa out of the Big Ten championship game on their home field on Senior Day. That'd be pretty cool. At least a little bit of something for Nebraska to eat.
Take them down.
Yeah, to like going into the offseason.
Play spoiler a bit.
Hasn't happened in what are they on? Number 7. They're going on
Something
8
like
if
that.
they lose this
year.
year.
Ruin their Big Ten West chances.
Wisconsin has 9 straight wins against the Huskers, so that's pretty rough. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll wrap things up here on the Ticket Water Cooler. Talk some more college football, just as a whole. Crazy weekend. So we'll break it down. Coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
The Heartland Dime from Sartor Heyman Jewelers was born from an unrelenting desire for more sparkle. Designed to shine as bright as your love, the difference between the Heartland and the traditional cut is clearly visible with the naked eye. By adding 32 additional facets, our skilled craftsmen have created a masterpiece, a diamond that truly reflects your passion and desire. Stop in and see the brilliance of the Heartland Diamond for yourself, exclusively at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's also happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you could earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
In today's day and age, people are trying to do more and more projects by themselves. That might be better on the wallet, but it can also lead to painful sounds like this. Ow! Poor guy, trying to do wiring all by himself. Let's have another listen. It's just not worth it. Don't hurt yourself or make things worse than they are already. For any of your electric needs, call Joe at Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
Fall has arrived, and it's the perfect weather for the DIY market to listen to the game while building a deck. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance to make your project go smooth. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671 or go online at deckcityne.com.
At Koppel Chevrolet GMC, we are thankful for so many things this year, starting with our great employees, a generous community, our military personnel, and most importantly, our loyal customer base that continues to drive that money-saving mile of Louisville. Hi, this is Sean Callahan, and on behalf of everybody at Koppel, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels to wherever they may take you. Happy holidays from Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
At Venue Catering and Events, we offer two of the most historic ballrooms in Lincoln. The Jasmine Room, located in the historic Grand Manse in the heart of downtown, featuring a beautiful built-in antique bar, spacious patio, and soaring skylit ceilings. The Scottish Rite Ballroom, located just 2 blocks from the state's capital, boasts intricate hand-carved columns, rich dark wood floors, and lavish chandeliers. The perfect venues to host your wedding, corporate event, or much more. For availability and more information, call us at 402-603-6483.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, always a phone call. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batstoRats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler, brought to you by Wingstop on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we just got a few minutes left here on the Ticket Water Cooler before we hand it off to happy hour. So we've got to kind of review college football weekend pretty quickly here. So here's one stat that I thought was kind of interesting. All 3 service academies won yesterday, or not yesterday, of course, on Saturday. None of them completed a pass. Navy beat UCF 21-17. Army defeated UConn 34-17, and Air Force defeated Colorado 24-17. Like I said, none of them completed a pass. They were combined 0 for 4 on the day, with only Air Force deciding to pass it twice.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So run the ball. That's in November. Run the ball.
Shout out to the service academies.
That's right.
Yeah, but it was November in Florida. That's where Navy was. You could have passed it.
Yeah, but they don't do that.
That's different. Air Force at Colorado. Yeah, no, that one makes sense.
Hendon Hooker now out for the season. Tennessee out of the playoff race with the biggest upset of the weekend, I believe. Shane Beamer. What if Nebraska hired Shane Beamer? Could you get yourself to cheer for that guy?
I could get myself to cheer for him easy.
But,
but I don't want to cheer.
He's not on the radar.
Shane Beamer.
He's just a weird guy. He reminds me of somebody. He's as a coach, as a guy that you'd like on your team, but you wouldn't like if.
Probably.
Yeah.
Shout out to Spencer Rattler, by the way. 6 touchdowns.
Don't shout out Spencer Rattler.
Shout out to Spencer Rattler. 6 touchdowns.
He did throw well.
Everybody is poo-pooing on Spencer Rattler, but look at him. Look at him doing things.
Look at him now
at South Carolina, beating Tennessee. Yeah. Also, shout out to Vanderbilt for getting their second SEC win in like a million years by beating Florida.
That was sad because they rushed the field without rushing it. They walked.
They queued the field. They had stairs and they walked down in a single file line, and then they all got into a group and they were like, "Yay!
Yay! Is this how you do it? They don't know how to do it.
We're not allowed to rush the field for baseball."
I think they're getting fined just as much as South Carolina for that field rush.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's not.
Yay! They're probably very respectful and seeing the Florida players and hey, thank you for showing up. Thank you so much. You played a great game. Hey, congratulations.
The 11 o'clock window was great. TCU had the walk-off field goal. They had to rush on the field,
dude.
Kick it.
Fire drill field goal.
Yeah,
loved it.
Into the
that is
the
perfect.
TCU fans were all behind there.
That
is awesome.
Perfect. Shout out to Sonny Dykes, first year at TCU. Not only is he undefeated, but he's got the team together so well that they can do that. They had 16 seconds. They got on there and kicked it with 3 seconds left.
That was awesome.
Goodness gracious.
Also in that window, Michigan survived Illinois. Blake
Upset.
Corum, it looks like he's, we'll see how he's ready. I know he's handing out. I think he was handing out Thanksgiving turkeys. So
he's good then.
That makes you feel
better.
He's
fine. He's fine. I want Michigan to beat Ohio State because I want my chicken wings from Nick.
Yeah.
But I really wanted Illinois to beat Michigan just to mess everything up in the college football playoff.
I'm a Brett Bielema guy, but I just that happened right before USC UCLA this weekend. Should have been even bigger than it was.
It was a great game.
It was a great game, but it should have been on the line playoff hopes. That's what Michigan Ohio State was going to have. I didn't want that to die down right before then. So
no, it would have been
glad we get undefeated.
No, it would have been even better because Michigan would have dropped out of the top 4, right? They would have stayed in the top, hopefully stayed in the top 6.
Yeah, around there.
Maybe probably drop below Alabama because you know how the college football playoff flips things. But they would have dropped out of the top 4, right? And then if Michigan were to go on to beat Ohio State, then Michigan goes to the Big Ten title. You drop Ohio State out of the top 4. Do you move Michigan back into the top 4? It would have been great. It would have been fantastic because that would have been massive playoff hopes right there. That game would have been the finale of the regular season.
Undefeated Michigan and undefeated Ohio State.
It's not better, but it would have been so much. It would have been fun.
It won't be fun either way. I'm just saying this is going to be special. This is the first time since 2006 that both teams have been undefeated.
See, but then it would have been a question: does Michigan get back into the college football playoff?
You'll still have that question. Whoever loses
if
that
LSU
game
beats Georgia, is LSU in the college football playoff?
Not LSU. Georgia might be.
If they lose,
yeah. Georgia lost the SEC championship last year, won the national championship.
Yeah, but the
I
SEC,
think we have to put less emphasis on conference champions.
But the SEC champion was in the playoff.
They were, yeah. That would make.
That's what I'm saying. This year, if LSU wins, are they in the playoff? If you're keeping Georgia, that means you have to put LSU in the playoff, right?
I think they've never put a 2-loss team in the playoff. I think they're going to stick.
But they're the SEC champion. You can't have the SEC loser in the playoff.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't. That's not how this works.
That's what they should do. Yeah.
That is not. You tell. No, that's not. No. So if Clemson got up to number 2. And then lost to, I don't even know who the second best team in the ACC is.
North Carolina. Before they lost to Georgia
and
Tech,
then, whatever. And then lost to North Carolina. If North Carolina only had 2 losses, I don't know how many losses they have.
They have 2 now.
Okay, if they're still in the top 10. If Clemson is number 2 or whatever they're at, and they lose to North Carolina, if they were up there, because Clemson and North Carolina aren't up there, would you have dropped Clemson out and brought North Carolina? You got to have the conference champ. You can't have the conference runner-up and not the conference champion in the college football playoff. That's not how this works.
Nebraska back in 2001 didn't win the conference. They didn't even win the Big 12 North and went to the championship game.
Well,
these championship games are just kind of a speed bump now. They don't really.
It's necessary.
I mean, the last 2, Alabama the year before won the national championship without winning the conference championship.
Well, they shouldn't have been in because a couple years before that, Nick Saban said you shouldn't be in the playoff if you don't win your conference. And then he changed his tune as soon as they weren't going to win their conference championship. And, of course, they let him in because they love Nick Saban in Alabama.
Well, of course, because Nick Saban in Alabama is the best program. And
I want chaos.
You might get a little bit of that. I don't want too much chaos.
I want all the chaos because I want to see exactly what they do. I want to see what they value.
I don't want to.
I want to see what the college football playoff values. Because I swear to sweet baby Jesus, if they put Alabama in the playoff, I'm going to lose my mind.
One guy you can scratch off the list, he's not going to be the Huskers' next head coach, is Mark Stoops. He signed a contract extension with Kentucky now through the 2030 season. Were you a big Mark Stoops guy? Is this going to hurt you too much?
No, not really.
No, that's all right.
Only if he brought his brother with him.
Yeah. I want Bob, the XFL Bob.
Yeah, give me Bob.
Yeah, that's who you really want there. what's another story here? Well, how about this? Kirk Ferentz now, after beating PJ Fleck, who cannot beat Kirk Ferentz, is 1-17, or excuse me, 17-1 against PJ Fleck, Matt Campbell, and Scott Frost, who's now gone. But that's beating rivals. Those are all trophy games for.
Shout out to nope, never mind. No shout outs. Good job. Good job, I guess, to that coach for the yellow and gold or the gold and black, whatever they are.
And I know people hate Iowa, but watching Iowa football is fun. I had a lot of fun again watching the Florida Rosedale game.
Is it therapeutic for you to watch terrible football?
It's just cool to see something play out exactly how you know it is. Like Minnesota, all they need is basically a first down, a few more first downs, or a touchdown to win the game, and they fumble. like it's not even well done though. It's like Iowa. So Iowa gets the ball. They don't take advantage of that opportunity. They need another turnover, an interception that's brought all the way back from Jack Campbell to the touchdown. All of a sudden, Iowa's in the lead. Oh wait, no, the refs got in the way, and they call the interception back, even though he had the interception. And they called him. They said he was out on the sideline. So they ended up having to do a field goal. But their field goal, they iced their own guy because Kirk does get in his own way from time to time.
He does that.
I don't know if they didn't count how many players were on the field. That's what the broadcast was figuring. So he had to hit it twice. It's always just fun to watch that game play out. And like they need the defense and special teams to save them, and they do it every week. And it's crazy to watch it happen.
You like chaos when it works out, because Nebraska's been chaotic. It just doesn't work out.
It just never works out.
So if Nebraska were to do everything that they've been doing, but win the games, that'd be good. That'd be fine.
I just don't know how Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator over there, is not like just hand him the Broyles Award. He's had to deal with Brian Ferentz all year long, half his career now.
That is true. That is true.
And somehow, like it's not like, well, maybe the special teams or defense can steal one this week. It's like we need 14 points.
We need you.
We're going to need 14 points from the defense this week, and they do it every week.
It's not you stealing; it's the offense stealing, not a loss. They're not. The offense isn't stealing wins; they're just stealing, not losing.
That being said, there was a lot of talk for Jack Campbell to be like defensive player of the year and all that stuff, and he's the leader of that defense, but his stats aren't up there. So,
which is weird considering they're always on the field.
They are always on the field. All right, that'll wrap it up for the Ticket Water Cooler. We'll have a lot more throughout the week as we get ready for Iowa Week. It is Iowa Hate Week.
Iowa Hate Week,
which is a great week, a tradition unlike any other, where we hate Iowa.
Boo birds.
And then we stop talking about it after Friday because
you know why
you lose.
You didn't have to say it.
Yeah, but maybe Nebraska. I hear everybody saying Nebraska's 3-9, 3-9. Could be 4-8 this week. After this week, do not give up. Do not give up hope. Could play spoiler to Iowa, and I very much hope so that they can get it done.
By the way, Team USA is playing Wales right now.
Oh, take that, Wales. Also, happy hour coming up next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Fall has arrived.